indications that you are a living human being. All right. So some of the things that BAD did was lobbied government and others to ban role-playing games. The bans for schools has gotten a lot less. I mean, I'm sure there's some private schools that have an issue, but it's becoming none less. Prisons have banned role-playing games. It's still a problem. We're going to be working on that this year to try to help that. They lobbied the FTC. They lobbied the CPSC. You know what those are?
I know FCC is Federal
Trade Commission.
And what was the other
acronym? CPSC.
Central.
I believe that's the prisons.
Yeah, I was gonna say Central Prisons.
Google it.
Oh, Google it.
Yeah. They wanted a warning label for RPGs. They wanted them to actually state that they were hazardous and could cause suicide. Warning, this game will kill you, cause you to kill other people, and possibly cause you to kill yourself.
Consumer Product Safety.
Okay. That's where they would get the label. List of locations banning RPGs are the next slide. So this is just a mini list, but Bailey, Colorado School Board, Morrisville, Vermont School Board, West New York, New Jersey, St. Joseph's High School, bunches of schools, boards that banning. School districts and administrators throughout the country are deeply disturbed by the questionable merits and dangers of the Dungeons & Dragons game. Many are now in the process of discontinuing the game in their school. Hawk taught Dungeons & Dragons, actually role-playing games in general.
Through the 80s.
Through the 80s in school.
At a school for gifted and talented children.
Which is why they were smart enough to allow it.
After he wrote a cited paper that actually...
No, he got... It's not part of the history thing, but what he did is he had to write a... he asked to run it, and they made him write a syllabus.
Yes. No, but first he wrote the paper when they were like, we need you to stop doing this in our library.
I think it's a different story.
I think we're thinking of two stories that you've combined them into.
Maybe not. It's not on the quiz, so don't worry about it. They had a list of people that had committed suicide. A list of people believed committed suicides because D&D, some listed actually weren't suicides. Unknown how many schools still ban or do not. Most of all prisons still ban role-playing games and have not been open to discussion regarding removal of the ban. There are several reasons cited. One is that it fosters a gang mentality because you're all joining together in a group to do something, so you're a gang. Fosters gambling because you're using dice and randomization. Fosters people trying to imaginatively find an escape plan on how to get out of prison. There's other reasons, but those are some of the things that they're throwing out there, and we're coming back with not so fast.
I could kind of see the planning an escape route thing. I mean,
depending on the RPG.
They're not going to need a role-playing game to do that, though.
No,
but I mean, they could say their maps. Oh no, this isn't a map of the prison. This is a map of whatever. But I mean, that would be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, and you would think that one of the guards would probably notice.
Well.
But we're also, when we're advocating for things, we're talking about TR professionals coming in and running games for them and help. So there are people who are trying to get role-playing games in prison because they're in prison and they want to play role-playing games.
Ironically, from personal experience, there are two of my friends that were they not part of our gaming group probably would have killed themselves. But because we knew these guys and knew when their behavior started getting off, they didn't. So that's just...
Right. And there'll be some notes about... what the actual research shows on the suicide tendencies. Ironically, it was the detectors' claims and subsequent successes in banning role-playing games without any research information to validate their claims that led to the beginnings of research on role-playing games and gamers. There is not one account that there have been able to point to about using role-playing games for prison planning and escape. Everything they claim have had zero examples in prisons.
From Hawk.
Yeah. He's watching me. All right. So, if it wasn't for bothers to get about Dungeons and Dragons, people wouldn't have started researching role-playing games and the benefits and things like that. That's the good news.
Yeah.
Depending on the criteria, between 60 and a few hundred studies of psychological relations between role-playing games and gamers. That was in 2008. We're much higher now, thanks to organizations like RPG Research. Research shows that role-playing games may have many benefits for participants. And examples include helping to more rapidly develop foreign language skills, Phillips, 1994. Developing stronger skills in reading, mathematics, creative thinking, cooperative play, problem solving, and social skills. That's D. Renard, 1990. The research shows that role-playing games may have many benefits for participants, including improved child behavior and attitudes, Bay Hines, 1994. Catharsis, Hughes, 1988, though catharsis is a debated topic in of itself, whether or not it's a legitimate thing. Development of many other skills as well as potentially significant therapeutic benefits, Kestrel, 2005. And thank you for monitoring Discord. Research shows that role-playing games may have many benefits. Participation examples include, well, that's a repeat. Use of role-playing games in self-treatment of clinical depression, John Hughes, 1988. Lower levels of meaningless and alienations, Gerard and Klein, 1990. Only 17% of tabletop role-playing gamers scored high, compared to 46% of non-gaming peers, college students. College students get all the studies doing, they're captured in one place anyway, so why not study them like lab rats? Suicide rate of tabletop role-playing games is 1/8 of non-gamers, all ages. Blackman, 1994. So the scientific studies show that no, this is not going to cause you to commit suicide. The odds are that you are significantly less likely to commit suicide if you're a role-playing gamer. Research shows that role-playing games examples include study by Albietta, Suzette, and Forrest, James, 1991. December, indicating that gamers are lower in criminal tendencies than the rest of the population. It also should be noted that there's been a study that suggests that role-playing gamers have a lower level of recidivism, meaning returning to crime. If they're using a tabletop role-playing game for people that are transitioning out of prison before they get released in the real world, and they get a new group of cohorts, new people that they hang out with that aren't their druggies and criminal friends, then they are less likely to return to the druggy and criminal lifestyle. Psychoticism, which was higher in non-gamers, did predict criminality. Theories as to why? Well, it's a socially focused activity. Unlike the stereotype where role players are loners, well, if they were loners, how did they get together in a group to play a game?
Random encounters.
Yeah, random encounters. I rolled for a friend. Right. Obviously, problem-solving skills. Again, catharsis. There are several case studies using role-playing games to treat suicidal individuals. Specific examples include 1988, John Hughes. Therapy is fantasy, role-playing, healing, and the construction of symbolic order. Use of role-playing game in the self-treatment of clinical depression research case study. Dungeons and Dragons, the use of fantasy game in the psychotherapeutic treatment of a young adult. Blackman, Wayne D., Journal Psychotherapy, 28 November 2008.
That's not the same John Hughes who made all those movies.
Don't think so. Do you know?
John Hughes?
Yeah,
No, John.
Breakfast Club and all those other movies from the 80s.
I'm not going to say one way or the other. I do not believe that they're the same John Hughes.
I didn't think so, but curious. Because I know he used to be like a school principal before he started writing all these movies, and that's why he had so much insight into exactly. So I'm just curious.
Now, what I just mentioned here, the Dungeons & Dragons, the use of fantasy gaming in the psychotherapy treatment of young adult. This is a case history of a depressive, suicidal, schizoid personality, 19 years old male, that was not responding to traditional therapies, using the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons as a bridge to help him develop a communication and rapport with the doctor. He began to increase in his openness and ability to analyze the relationships in games, to increase his ability to become aware of relationships in real, and improve his socialization, empathy, and communication skills.
There is also a well-known actress who used role-playing games. They were computer-based role-playing games to, and she was doing.
Right, but then eventually she had to overcome her own video game addiction. Felicia Day.
Yeah.
But she found a lot of great benefits. She found better outlets. She hasn't given up role-playing games or computer games or anything like that. She just found a better way to deal with it. The only real caveat, likely any recreational activity, keep life balance. If all you're doing is Dungeons and Dragons and you're not bothering to eat, you're going to die. If you're playing World of Warcraft 20 hours a day, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
If you do anything for 20 hours a day, you're going to have problems. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
It can be the most interesting, selfless thing in the whole wide world.
I can't stop breathing for 4 hours.
You can try.
Okay, fine. This is all new, by the way.
Now you're going to hold your breath.
That's perfectly fine. Nobody has ever died from attempting to hold their breath. Nobody. The possibility that role-playing games may actually lower the risk of suicides has been further reinforced by other case studies, including psychologists, psychiatrists using and encouraging participation in role-playing game to help patients already struggling with depression and suicidal ideation. Blackman, 1994. Furthermore, more studies on gamer personality traits, behavioral tendencies, criminal history, and antisocial behavior surveys disprove any such increased tendencies or heightened risks. Abieta and Forrest, 1991. That was from Gamers Are Lower in Criminal Tendencies Than Rest of the Population, 1991. December, Susan Abieta and James Forrest. The hypothesis that role-playing games experience should be positively correlated with self-reported criminality was examined. Regression analysis indicates that role-playing experience did not relate to self-reported criminality. However, psychoticism, which was higher in the non-gamers, did predict criminality. The above Abieta study and many others since then have been thoroughly disproved the claims and stereotypes made by the detractors of D&D role-playing games. Regarding their claims that role-playing games would be bad for the participants, study after study has either shown no correlation or an inverse correlation, indicating the gamers had a lower risk of issues than the non-gaming peers. Repeated research can find no correlative statistical link and also shows a distinct difference in personality from those admittedly involved in Satanism and those who are role-playing gamers. Believe it or not, people who are Satanists are less likely to play role-playing games? I don't know.
It also depends on the faction of Satan.
Right. Well, you're not going to be... if you are a Satanist and you play role-playing games, it's because you're a Satanist who found role-playing games. It's not you're not a Satanist because you found role-playing games. It's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there are Christian role-playing games.
There are significant Christian role-playing games in existence. We may even have an example in there somewhere.
What about Vampire the Masquerade?
It's not a Christian role-playing game, and but it does apply to this. There were people who tried to use the role-playing game defense as a reason why they committed murder, and it never held up.
This one?
I meant it as an example. Oh, does that count players of VTM as a joke?
Oh, well, yeah,
Because
it
it's
does count players of VTM. There was a thing where there was some people that were committing murder, and they were trying to claim that Vampire the Masquerade caused them to do so. It has completely been disproven. It's never held up in a single court, ever. Role-playing gamers appear to have significantly higher ratings of higher meaning in their lives, much higher than their non-gaming peers in college studies from 1990. So, meaningless, a score of meaningless means that, oh, there's no purpose, there's nothing to do, I don't have any reason to continue on. So, what do you guys think the percentage of role-playing gamers who scored high on meaninglessness?
Probably very low.
Give me a number, just a guess.
10%.
Okay, anybody else?
He's 8.
He's closer, 17%. Non-gamers, guess how high they scored?
40s.
46%. This was Gennard and Klein in 1990. The only alienation that role-playing games report feeling is from society in relation to the stigma against gamers. But other than that, did not show any higher levels of social isolation of alienation than their non-gamer peers.
And that was before
Gennard and Klein,
Gamergate.
1990.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're definitely working on that.
Because I'm not supposed to exist.
Female gamers do exist. In fact, female gamers have been part of role-playing games from day one, literally.
Dragonlance, right? Author. One of the authors was
Margaret Weiss. Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
I said from day one.
H.G. Wells' sister?
No, because that's what is H.G. Wells? What kind of game did he do?
War game.
A war game, not a role-playing game. So, who did the first role-playing game?
Gygax used his daughter as one of the playtesters.
Correct.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And his 8-year-old daughter named Dungeons and Dragons. She said, "I like Dungeons and Dragons" as a name. So that's how the name got solidified.
And fun, unrelated fact: female gamers in general make up more than male gamers when you include phone games. Because I
That's
think it was
generically games.
I think it was in the U.S. generic game. Women are 80% more likely to play a daily game. I think I read that a while back. It was in the 80s. I don't remember if they were 80% more likely or 80% of women in the U.S. as some form of a game, daily game.
So, empathy. Tabletop role-playing games have a higher empathy than non-gamers. Rivers, 2016, Yi, 1999. But play by email on computers, RPG is lower empathy than non-gamers. Douse, 1993. Anybody guess why?
You've got the anonymity.
Right. That is the prevailing thing. Is if you can't see my face, if you don't know who I am, I don't have to be a nice person.
Oh, the examples of the Christian role-playing games is Holy
Land,
Land, Purple
Pawn.
Sorry, maybe you should read them. Christian Gamers Guild.
Yeah, and of course the reference to the Christian Gamers Guild at Christians-Gamers-Guild.org, and that's Christian, not Christians.
And then the Holy Land RPG is www.holylandrpg.com, and the Purple Pond is www.purplepond.com.
/2010/04/Christian-role-playing-games.
Oh,
Just Google
less.
Purple Palm.
Purple Pond actually is a site that lists several Christian role-playing games. Which also the Christian Gamers Guild would also have several different types.
I mean, I don't know what the big hang-up was. I mean, every year Christian groups all across the country they do a LARP right in their sanctuary there with the nativity scene.
Is that a LARP or is that a play?
They're not role playing.
Sure they are.
No, they're not.
It's a play.
They're no more role playing than an actor is on a stage. There are no. Okay, so defining a role playing game.
You've never seen a nativity scene go wrong? When a little kid just decides, you know what, I'm going to take baby Jesus and run up the aisle. That's
Yeah.
a LARP, baby.
Yeah, because there were no rules.
Exactly.
There was.
I've seen quite a few wise men wander.
They failed their wisdom.
Where's the wise man and Mary? Don't ask. Much longer explanation of the section available at www.rpgresearch.com. We're not going there, folks. Any people that are Christian and watching this show, none of the opinions expressed by anyone are valid. Opinions are just that, opinions. They're not facts or science or anything relatively useful. All right. This was the past. What does that have to do with the present? While media has calmed down and some important, the myths are now pervasive. Pervasive. Thank you. And what is your primary language?
Brazilian Portuguese. I mean, English. I switch them around because I know sometimes I have problems translating things from English to Portuguese, but rarely ever the other way around.
Okay.
Because I'm on the internet too much. You know these 20 hours? Yes, I do have a problem.
You don't have a problem being put in anytime.
I'm a native speaker and I'm being corrected. But he's right, so it's okay.
This is something that I've also found, that a lot of non-native speakers of English know English better than native English speakers.
Well,
It's the way they were taught.
slang.
Yeah. Primarily the British system, which is far superior than the English system. The American system.
Again,
I learned
for all of you watching, opinions are just that.
As we
All right.
all stare can.
I learned from video games, okay?
Yes.
All right, so who has not heard of the Big Bang Theory? The show. All right.
Bang! Sorry.
So the Big Bang Theory, they did several episodes with role-playing games in it. They just recently did a new one that had all kinds of famous role players on it. Kevin Smith, Joe Manganiello. I said it right.
Was Vin Diesel on it?
No, Vin Diesel wasn't on it, but he is a famous person. But it was William Shatner was on that, and so was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a role player?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so
So
there
he has more than just one game.
Yep. He's got game. You know what? What I don't think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The first thing I think of when I hear that name is not role-playing games. It is not basketball. It is the time he kicked Bruce Lee in the face while sitting in a chair.
It wasn't his face.
It was his
chest.
chest.
And what he was
Because he
doing,
left an imprint
Yeah.
on his yellow jumpsuit.
I'm not the only one who saw this. Okay.
and not only that, but he was inducting Bruce Lee into the Foot Clan for the Ninja Turtles.
That is so sad. That was very impressive. That kick.
Yes.
All
What
right.
got me was years later that Kevin McHale actually wanted to get into a fight with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's like, didn't you see that movie?
Okay, the guy has not only the reach, but he knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, I never liked Kevin McHale anyways.
It's like when you get into a fight with a bear, you've already lost.
I don't know. That guy just beat that panther, and I thought that would be something where you just lose.
What?
Yeah, a guy choked out a panther. Like, it made national headlines. It was like,
Well,
2 weeks
he
ago.
had adrenaline running, and if he didn't choke out the panther, he was going to get et. So I think it was probably a matter of who struck first in that one.
The panther's
He
rubber.
won initiative.
He
Okay.
just got his arm underneath of it.
I actually saw a picture of him being interviewed, and the line underneath it was, obviously, this guy, this guy's cougar problems are just beginning.
It wasn't panther, it was cougar. You're right.
Yeah.
There
big
was
Big cat.
an article about a woman who killed a bobcat in her yard, and the mysterious thing about it was that one, she did it with her bare hands. Two, she did it completely silently because she didn't want to wake her grandson up.
Yeah. I completely believe that. I completely believe that.
Yeah, it's like, don't mess with this woman. All right. Clearly, they're all having in the Big Bang Theory. They did the role-playing games. Sorry for the. Was it a six-legged panther? Yes, Hawk. It was a six-legged panther. Clearly, they were all having fun. Yet observe how many writers
to use some hero points.
for a penny insisted on putting down the form of the fun they experienced by others as lesser than gambling in Vegas. They made a comment during the scene where it says, "Oh, we never had a woman playing D&D with us before," and Penny says, "Don't worry, honey, nobody has."
Aw.
Which was so they had a issue with stereotyping nerds and things like that. I think they're doing better. They've gotten away from some of the meanness that they had. They've
Especially
even
towards Penny.
acknowledged. Well, Penny was one of the meaner ones, but they're acknowledging that they're really cruel to each other, and they're trying to put a stop to it just in time for the last season. Gamer Floater hypothesis. Have you guys heard of this?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again in your hearing.
Gamer
It's-
floater hypothesis.
Oh, yes.
It's one of the reasons that the stereotypes get reinforced. Pub games, pickup games, and conventions is the most visible form of people playing role-playing games. For those who aren't role players, that's where you see them. Up until recently with the internet and people watching role-playing gamers on YouTube and Twitch. And then we have things called the Matt Mercer effect, where everybody thinks that that's how games have to be played. But the people that you saw in public had a tendency not to be the best example of us. They're the smallest example of this because the vast majority of role-playing games are played at home. There are a lot more role-playing games than just Dungeons & Dragons. You can see the wall of Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games that we have out here.
This is the only section of Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, then
That's
there's
not a joke.
4th edition, which will not be.
In the 4th edition. But
Oh, yeah.
there's a whole
That's what I'm
non-Dungeons
talking
&
about.
Dragons
This is-
section over here.
This is done.
On the wall directly behind me, there's a whole non-Star Wars, Cthulhu, Doctor Who, Top Secret, all kinds of role-playing games. So these aren't typically played in public. The ones that are played in public are Pathfinder and Dungeons & Dragons.
And live action role playing.
Right, live action role playing, but that's not leaning towards the gamer floater thing because people associate those people slightly differently.
There's a certain hierarchy.
Yeah.
And,
So the hypothesis that Hawk put forward about the gamer floater is that these people that get kicked out of games can only go to these public games where they're a lot more accepting. When I run games at Uncles of the Valley, we try very hard not to kick anybody out. We try to work it out, make it acceptable for everybody. We may try to switch around tables occasionally. We may try to work with that person and get their behavior better. But this is where these people have to go. Whenever there's something put online, say, hey, everybody meet for the game, these same people that have been kicked out of everything else keeps going from game to game to game while they get kicked out because they have problematic behaviors and things like that. And those are the people that get seen, even though they're the smallest number of people. The vast majority of players are playing in their home, in private, with nobody judging what they're wearing and what twitches they have. Plus, the media likes to show examples of D&D players being all nerds and special people. So, I'm going to name off some famous people, not just the ones that I listed there. You guys seen the Netflix shows that have... yeah, but I'm specifically referencing the Marvel Netflix shows, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and those shows. One of the characters is Wall. That's her last name. I can't remember her first name. No offense if you happen to be lost on the internet and watching this, Miss Wall. But she is a famous actress now because of the Netflix series, and she has her own Dungeons & Dragons show on Alpha Stream. But we also have Nelly, a rap musician, Sarah Michelle Gellar, actor, Judi Dench, actor, Harrison Ford, actor, Jennifer Lopez, musician and actor, Tim Duncan, 2 times NBA championship, Hulk Hogan, who's a wrestler, Vin Diesel, actor, Kobe Bryant from the NBA, Emilio Estevez, actor, Bare Naked Ladies, the entire band,
I can totally see that.
Metallica, the band, Alice Cooper, Dave Chappelle, the comedian, Ewan McGregor, actor, Harrison Ford, actor.
Robin Williams.
We'll get to those people in a moment. Jacques Villeneuve, Formula One racing champion. Alice Cooper got listed twice for some reason. Nelly gets
That's because he's
twice.
just so shocking. He's listed
Yeah.
twice.
Lou Ferrigno, bodybuilder and the Incredible Hulk.
I can totally see Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Can you see like how he puts together all those stage performances? Just
Yeah.
like that. Just
He
so
rolls
what
for what's going to happen tonight.
Am I going to put my head in the guillotine?
I would love to see
Nat one.
Alice Cooper play a palette.
I would love to see Dave Chappelle play anything.
I'm looking for her on here, but I'm not seeing.
Deborah Ann Wool.
Y'all got
Aha.
any dwarven treasures?
When the internet failed me, your mind remembered.
Yeah, Deborah Ann Wool is one of the latest ones. There are several other. There's an ex-porn star that's a famous Dungeons and Dragons player. There's Daryl Hannah, Jennifer Lopez, Jenny McCarthy, Judi Dench, British actress, Moneypenny in James Bond movies. Claudia Christensen, Felicia Day, Paget Brewster, and Sarah Michelle Gellar are famous female gamers. Famous geeky gamers, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert. We have challenged Stephen Colbert, and he hasn't picked it up yet, but we have challenged Stephen Colbert to do a nerd off on Tolkien history, him versus Hawk. I'm going to say that Hawk's going to win. Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, Mike Myers, Ben Affleck, Nathan Fillion, George Lucas, Seth Green, Joss Whedon, Conan O'Brien, Stephen King, Jack Black, Marilyn Manson, Bill Gates, and Steven Spielberg all play games, D&D role-playing games. Computer game demographics highlights from 2015 ESA report. CTRS equals 88.6 female percent. All video games, 44% females. Average age of female gamers is 43. Average age of male gamers is 35. This is from NCTRC 2014. 40% of video game computer games sold, played are role-playing games related, RPG, adventure, action, and mixed. A lot of gaming market news information here that's not relevant to what we're doing right now. Other than board games, including role-playing games, are booming since 2009. Recession's upside is that family game night. People have less money, they're going to spend in games. Hundreds, if not thousands, of different tabletop role-playing game systems besides D&D. They fit the needs of every variation of genre, game styles, and settings imaginable. So just in examples, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Auto Duel, GURPS, which is a role-playing game not related to... well, it is related to, because it's still Steve Jackson's games, Car Wars, which is the war game. Star Trek role-playing game, Dragon Raid, Marvel Superheroes by TSR, Top Secret SI by TSR. The new version of Top Secret is by a new TSR company who somehow got the right to use the tactical study rules. Call of Cthulhu. Role-playing gaming, live-action LARPs, computer-based tabletop. We've talked about those. There's some articles on gender bias in role-playing key aspects. So, key aspects of role-playing games are the actions. There's a structured rules system, not just let's pretend. Determine success or failure. There's a way to tell whether or not you won, not, I shot you. No, you didn't. You missed. I was using heat-seeking bullets, and I have an ice vest on. TRPG and CRPG possibly far exceed the actual abilities of the player. My character has an 18 strength, and I can bend bars like it was butter. In real life, I can't bend a bar. Bar of chocolate. Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can bend, if it's thin enough, a bar of gold or aluminum.
Sure, I know I can bend a bar of wood.
And then the bar of mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How do you get a bar of liquid?
I think that's a dexterity check, not a strength one.
Yes. Okay. Key aspects of role-playing game actions are they're measurable, and they evolve and develop. It means your character gets bigger and better and all that other nice things.
Agreed.
We can talk about evident interaction patterns, but that is more into things. The main thing to know about intergroups, RPG gamer types, killers, achievers, socializers, explorers. From the Bartlett test.
I don't think they know what the Bartlett test.
A simple diagram based on the Bartlett test that quickly sums up the very basic aspects of different computer-based RPG player types, which is oversimplified, of course, but there is all kinds of role-playing games. You have the people that like to kill things. You have the people that like to achieve things. You have the socializers and the people that like to just explore. Players, world, interacting, act. So you have where they are on these scales. Choose your own adventure books are rigid structure, learn through trial and error, dozens of hundreds of different endings possible. Some offer additional complexity and flexibility with character sheets, dice maps, etc. We've gone over that. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, first role-playing game.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Who wrote it?
Gygax and
Dave
Arthur.
And what game was it based off? Did it came first before Dungeons and Dragons, but was not a role-playing game? Chainmail, which is what kind of game?
A war game.
War game. Who wrote the first accessible to the general public role-playing wargaming game?
H.G. Wells.
What year?
1930s, you know?
1913.
1913. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Little Wars.
Correct. What differentiates a war game from just a tabletop board game?
Board game is just a fight.
No, I'm not talking role playing games. What's the difference between, say, chess and Little Wars?
Okay, well, chess there's no randomization.
Right.
There's also no terrain.
And
No weather.
correct. What's the difference between a war game and a role playing game?
Have no role-playing aspect. We don't control a single character, control an entire force, and there's generally no story, context to the conflict, aside from the general, the genre of the war game in question.
Right. What kind of war games were initially available? What two kinds?
Military reenactment.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, could you repeat the
It
question?
was actually historical reenactment is what you were looking
Historical and hypothetical.
for. Historical and
Yeah.
hypothetical.
Mhm.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
This is all military.
What are the two types of war games are there?
Oracle and
No. Formats
Oh,
Five.
formats for RPGs?
for war games.
For war games.
Hypothetical. And...
No, those are the genres that were originally available. Now there's all kinds of them. There's fantasy, science fiction,
Board games
Horror.
and physical.
miniature based, and board game.
Miniature based and board. That's
Okay. And so, yeah.
Word-based
Miniature
war games?
based war games and board game based war games are the formats. The settings were historical or hypothetical. So Stratego is a board game version.
Oh, Stratego is considered a war game.
Yeah.
Interesting. know that.
Opinions are worth what? Nothing. There's arguments sometimes between where you blur the line between role-playing games and notable authors at the time for wargaming, and also influences on D&D.
My brain did not process it. I don't know why.
Who are notable authors of the time of the early war games, and who also influenced Dungeons and Dragons? Okay.
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Okay.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
There you go.
H.G. Wells.
Got it. Anybody else?
Tolkien.
Tolkien and
Stuck in my head.
Did we already say Edgar Rice Burroughs?
yes.
You did.
H.P. Lovecraft.
How many
Oh.
H people?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Alright.
You said Edgar Allan Poe. Two Edgars, two H's, and it starts with a
I got
J.
it in my thing. He's the Tarzan guy. Josh.
Josh.
Not Josh. Is it wrong?
James Burns.
Cook? No.
The author of Tarzan.
Tarzan.
That's Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yes, that's Edgar Rice
Oh.
Burroughs. Michael Moorcock, Robert E. Howard,
Michael
Conan, and Jules Verne was
Oh,
not
Verne.
considered he was a popular writer at the time, but was not listed as one of the people that influenced Dungeons and Dragons. When was Chainmail?
68 to
What's significant about the documentary called Secrets of Blackmoor, True History of Dungeons and Dragons?
It argues that D&D was not, in fact, the first RPG, and names another one. I don't quite remember the name.
Blackmore.
Oh, yeah.
The Blackmoor is the first Dungeons and Dragons setting, but the they were talking about Brownstein, which was the name of the game. All right, so we should be moving on to some video stuff. You showed me this already.
The bottommost thing. That Chainmail.
1968 to 1971, published in 1971. Okay. So that's probably enough quizzing for now. Let's see if we can get that video to play. Can we get that video to play for us?
Once I find the mouse.
And this is going to be analysis, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to have...
For those of you watching us at home, sorry, it's only going to be audio because we... Now, I do not know how to change.
Now, did you just went over stopping points for this, didn't you not?
I did a little bit. They were kind of a lot longer.
The Gamers, Darkness Rising. Is this the first one?
The second one.
Second, yes.
I'm hanging over it because we're going to have to start this top. Excuse my mouse.
Trivia, the guy carrying the package is based on a cartoon character called Nodwick.
Yeah. I miss Nodwick.
He's still out there. You have to be a Patreon to read it, though.
Yeah, that's definitely Nodwick.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Didn't catch that.
What does that say?
Long live Gygax.
Yeah.
I did not know that until they pointed that out to me. I got the long live and I couldn't figure out thinking it guys, and I felt so horrible that I couldn't figure it out.
So you see, this actually is an anti-RPG message because it's in the villain's lair, so they put it there.
Well, if it's honestly, I'm a bit disappointed because it says long live Gygax and it's not a saber die scenario. There should have been a trap there.
Oh, there was a horrible saber die in there.
There
Well,
was
no,
a trap
actually,
there.
you have to get rid of it saying "Long live Gygax" or the door beats you up.
Yeah.
No, because
It is a trap. That's the markings for the trap.
Oh, wait! Do not touch the door. Gary Gygax is dead. Long live Gary Gygax.
I'm gonna move so I can watch too. How do I get this on so people can watch with us?
I know you have to screen share, but I don't know how to do it. I know we're screen sharing Discord for some reason.
It's on this computer screen is how to do it, so we can't do both. This is all available on YouTube and on Amazon Prime right now, so you guys can anybody who's watching this. Yep.
Pause here for a moment.
Pause.
So, what happened here? In terms of group dynamics.
Spider busted them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, not the door, the brick wall.
Mm-hmm. And what prompted him to do that?
He was told. No, actually, that's his job.
Hmm.
The big burly guy, so he breaks it down.
Are you gonna say
Yeah,
it
that
for
has
us?
a name, doesn't
So
it?
people can watch it
In
with
terms
us.
of group.
Well, yeah, they're performing because they are doing what they're supposed to do without being told.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm taking notes here because we're going to make a more. We're going to roll out this training to multiple people, so I'm making notes of timestamps and all that, notes. So if anyone has any observations, feel free to ask to pause things so that we may add them to get this as rich as possible. Thank you.
You want platinum pieces, not coppers. Rich.
Go.
We're not going to watch the entire movie, folks, but you can watch it on Amazon Prime and YouTube. And the Fantasy Network.
The Fantasy.network.
Fantasy.network.
This does not end here! It does.
I love the whole person.
You.
So, what is he displaying? Yes.
Angry, yeah. This was what's known as a TPK, Total Party Kill. And note, I am not the Dungeon Master.
You actually have more hair than the Dungeon Master.
Is there a reason you didn't turn those ghouls since that would help us not die?
Hey guys,
I don't know.
detected trap cats. Everything else would be proud.
That was an ambush, not a trap. And you should know the difference. Oh, by the way, way to defend the cleric there, Conan. He lived all, what, 6 seconds? So smart, giving him a clear path to the heat.
Look, guys, I didn't see you helping. In fact, I saw you dying like a tiny little peasant.
That was dying because our battle turtle wasn't doing his job.
How am I supposed to kill everything in the room when I get flanked? You are supposed to keep people off my ass. And you are supposed to keep healing me. Which brings me to my lack of powers, which I didn't have after I lost them. Did I mention this? Guys!
Yeah, throwing things at people is not allowed. They are in a storming phase of their relationship right now. Group dynamics of forming, storming, norming, and performing. They are definitely not at the performing stage.
And what is the DM allowing that would not be acceptable in our games besides throwing dice?
Arguing, calling each other names, basically losing your temper and throwing tantrums.
And what could he do in order to defuse the situation?
Well, from the very beginning, as soon as the first person died, he should have stopped right there and maybe shown some empathy or something. Maybe also not did some things that were kind of quasi out of the rules. You know,
Well,
clerics suddenly losing their power.
But
That's not out of the rules.
That's not out of the rules.
Anti-magic is a thing.
Oh no, I
And
know.
story always trumps rules.
Oh, sure.
Especially games we play,
But
where
he
we're
should
gonna
have-
purposely put people.
He should have stopped himself. He should have stopped the group before they started yelling at each other and losing their temper. And, you know, probably actually had like everybody take 5, go to separate rooms or something, and not even talk about it at the moment. Let them calm down first. Because clearly they're all agitated.
Anyone else got about the situation?
Back when I was speaking with Hawk, he specifically said, as the TPK happened, he said, "Oh, unfortunately, this happened." Let me get the actual task. And oh, damn, that was a bummer. I'm sorry, guys. Let's discuss what happened in order to create a more positive framing for it. Doesn't always happen, so it may be necessary to do what you said, but I guess that's priming.
Well, yeah, he should have stopped it before it escalated. You know, however that needs to happen. Like, especially with some of the people that we deal with, you know, instead of throwing dice, they might start throwing hands, and we can't have that. So we need to find a way. We need to be able to stop
Watch
them.
the screen now.
Right.
And if he hadn't cut you off, we totally would have had him. Yeah. I didn't even know it was possible cutting off a god.
Not the rules.
It fits the story.
It doesn't fit the rules.
Story trumps rule.
Again with this argument. Class.
What kind of a player is he?
Rules lawyer. I was going to say baby.
Baby is not an archetype.
I would argue
And
that.
of course, I can't
You're
expect
just being a
you
baby.
to know where we keep our products, seeing as how you work for me. Argue on. What would you rather have? An original fantasy world with its own mysteries and pitfalls, or just another cookie-cutter setting with no real
You
surprises?
should have told us that in your world the cleric would be cut off from his god.
Why should I have told you that?
Gary, you played a cleric, you know Lodge was just going to shut him down?
No. That's player knowledge, not character.
Pause.
You know, but you're...
So, player knowledge versus character knowledge, meta, as it's called, meta knowledge, where you are playing the rules instead of the story. I know that this creature is weak to this particular thing because my player has seen it before, but my character has no reason to know why this thing even exists. Or using the fact that you can see the map, and that obviously has a secret door there because you have a room with no doors on it sitting in the middle of the map. That's player knowledge that shouldn't be used by the players to make their characters' decisions on.
And then the other part is, at this point, do you think that the Dungeon Master is doing a good job of trying to de-escalate the situation?
No, he just threw gas on the fire.
Your character would...
That is so cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I'd like to pick a little more. It is not cool to let a character advance that far and pull something that huge on him.
It was supposed to be a nasty surprise. Something you weren't expecting.
And because it was so unexpected, the party died. This is what happens when you mess with the rules. What were you thinking?
Maybe that it would force you to role play.
What do you think we were doing?
Hey, guys, come on. Next week, new expansion for Samurai Baseball comes out on Friday. Looks very cool. You strike out. Seppuku.
So, what were the other two characters playing?
In terms of player archetype, or
Yeah. Kind of just barely got enough to see that.
Yeah, you really they're not displaying their archetypes yet. You should need to wait till they do that.
Oh, I mean, it changes a little bit as it goes on.
Yeah,
but they all seem to be more on the role playing. On the role playing thing. Cass is a rules lawyer. The guy with the skull cap, he's the cap with the skull on it, not an actual cap. He is a bit of a munchkin, I figured. A bit of, these. I'd say so because at least from what I hear, a munchkin is just a power gamer, but who likes to do weird stuff as well. And the cleric, butt kicker, perhaps. I'm not sure.
This one again.
The same campaign?
We've played it twice already.
You guys want to do my campaign again?
No.
I have a reputation. There's not a game on these shelves that could... What kind of gamer would I be? Some unpublished mug at the best of us.
Thanks, Cass. That's thoughtful.
Here, Gwen.
Hey, Mitch.
I had a mixed roommate.
That monitor. Keyboard.
God, I don't know why that keeps happening. Listen, we need 2 more players.
Dude, I've got work in them.
No, Dick, for your campaign. It's why we keep dying. We need a more well-rounded party. Listen, there's only so much damage 3 mad hombres can do, right?
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
Are you guys still gaming?
We're playing Time Felons. You get to go back through time and beat the crap out of historical figures. I totally bushwhacked Lincoln.
Don't you have class in the morning?
Yeah, in like 5 hours. Why?
Take that, Jesus.
I gotta go. It's almost my turn.
Who's the Messiah that face?
I'm never going to finish this freaking module. Or to die again? They don't try anything new, and then they blame me when they die. Ungrateful munchkins. I'm really kind of pissed off. That has nothing to do with writer's block. I do not have writer's block. I know exactly how the story ends. I just know how to get there. Obviously, neither do your players. How am I supposed to finish a module based on an adventure if we never finish the adventure?
Just run them through it until they win.
Or your head explodes. We're gonna start all over again once we have a few new players. Mark, why don't you join? I mean, you used to game all the time in college.
I haven't gamed since the incident.
Total party wipeout?
Like, you can't even imagine.
Pause.
Hey, Kaz.
Lodge?
Two things to note. One, I was not the DM of that game either.
Yeah, but you wish you were.
Two,
I actually
That
heard,
game I would.
I actually heard that when they were doing that game, it was based off of one of the games you ran.
yeah. Okay, so this is the incident's referring to the first gamers, which had a very interesting twist ending that would have
You'd have to
been
look up and watch yourself.
it would have been very traumatic.
Also, like to point out a little gamer stereotype there. He's chugging a triple latte and Mountain Dew at the same time.
I didn't even see that. Oh no, why is my phone?
Haven't
doing
these aspects of nerd culture transcended cultural barriers already?
I think the idea of being addicted to caffeine is not a complete.
No, there's an addiction to caffeine, and then
There's
you've
pouring
got
your Mountain Dew into coffee.
you've got coffee and Mountain Dew, and you're drinking them both at the same time. That's pushing it.
push it real good.
Oh, jeez.
As you can see, reality is stranger than fiction because you're having much more entertainment value than from this film, probably.
All right, so go ahead, continue.
Mark! I haven't seen you in a long time. It's like I didn't even exist. I get that a lot. Found one of them newbies.
Oh, do I know him?
Her. Joanna keeps bugging me to get her involved, so I make her fight. It's easy enough to play.
Joanna? Your ex-Joanna? She'll be joining us?
Yes, finally.
What's wrong, Lodge? Ever played with a girl before?
Stereotype.
Let's go tomorrow.
Apparently,
Stereotype.
see what Leo's. I'll try not to slow things down too much.
Oh, that's here. Player's handbook.
Stereotype. Always carrying around a player's handbook.
I don't know that that's a stereotype, especially in this context. He is trying to write a module for Dungeons and Dragons. Having the materials that he's using, that he's writing in the cafe, is not a stereotype. It's like saying, "Oh, look, stereotypical person who's writing a book has a pencil."
You guys don't carry a player handbook with you at all times?
I can't keep them in my car any longer because the cold
I
is
have
too
them all in
stringent.
PDF, so I'm
Oh, there you go.
Hey, no Dungeons and Dragons PDFs because they're illegal.
All of them?
All of 5th edition D&D PDFs of the books are illegal because they didn't officially make any.
See?
So if you have the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Monster Manual on a PDF, it's pirate. Now, if you have the basic rules for Dungeons and Dragons that they have released, that's not pirated. But if you have an actual PDF copy of any of these books that you see down there, it's pirated.
I need to review a few sites that I often visit.
Okay.
I was talking about basic edition.
Yeah, sure you were.
All the rules, everything you need to know.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll look it over.
Kevin. Who the hell is Kevin? I'm Kevin.
You have a first name?
This is
Into
a
this
stereotype.
game store. I did go into this game store when I was over in.
Where's this one at?
Oh, here's a stereotype.
I think this is in Nakoma.
Okay.
Even the girls staring in the back.
Half-breed,
Put the room or kick in the door.
kicking down the door.
I never noticed
all
there
right,
was a girl in
that's
the
everybody.
back.
Of course, they're actually playing Munchkin.
We're
Yeah,
playing
it's a great
on
game.
five. There is no fifth player.
You said you were going to get us another player, Lodge.
I asked 15 people, all regulars. Apparently, we have a reputation.
What did I tell you? Make one 11-year-old cry and they stop bugging you.
Hey, look, we still need another player.
I've taken care of it. Now, this is a mid-level campaign, so we'll be starting at 9th level.
Here's Joe's character.
What are you doing?
I made a character for you.
I want to play my own character.
I know. That's why I made you one.
You think I can't make my own character?
Look, it's nothing personal. You're going to be our fighter. There's certain requirements.
Like what?
Well, fighter has to be the strongest guy in the party. Has to have a high armor class and hit points out the ass. And that is what I made for you.
Let me see that. Bikini male? What the hell is bikini male?
Only the very best armor a female can wear. There's a picture of it right here.
That looks like it chafes. She fights with a broadsword?
Broadsword.
I get it. Kevin, help me out here.
Kevin?
Wait, your name is Kevin?
You have a first name?
Guys, if Joanna made a character, she gets to play it.
I agree with you in principle, Kevin. But she is new, and I don't want her to die just because she's experienced.
What makes you think I'm gonna die?
History. You guy always die.
That is so true. Yeah, you remember the time that those halfling pirates made him watch
Shut up,
play?
man.
Or the time that those gnome shopkeepers ambushed him?
Shut up!
Or that asthmatic 6-year-old princess with...
Shut up!
I flipped through that
Not
handle. I
allowed.
think I got
No physical contact.
I've actually been on the receiving end of something very similar.
Somebody grabbed your chest.
No, this the girl thing.
Oh,
The girl thing, not the grabbing of chest and pulling.
you're talking. Oh yeah, the sexist things where he's trying to control her,
I had someone
doing the jokes.
who thought that I needed to make my character a munchkin, and that was the only way to play, and that it was like he's doing to her.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't have any fun if I didn't.
A recent experience with that as well. Just, I mean, it wasn't a little bit milder, but for instance, in Shane's Gaming Team, there was a very experienced guy, and there were some newbies, and there was a little bit.
His name is Bill.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And it's not just because of her. He does that with everybody who doesn't play the way he thinks it should be played.
Yeah, I could catch that because he also, said stuff to me and.
Bill is great strategy-wise. If you want somebody to min-max your character, hand it to him. He'll give you back the most efficient killing machine you can come up with. But Bill does have a tendency to be a controlling player, and he will give you more advice than you can possibly handle.
He is working.
He's actually getting better at it.
Yeah.
Did you remind him that let people play their own characters?
No, I actually, next session before we went over, I wanted to kind of talk with him privately because I'm not comfortable with dealing with something.
Right.
I would rather talk to him one-on-one.
Talking to him one-on-one is a good idea. To remind him to let other people play their characters and help when asked is one of the things that he sometimes has reminded to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's some very nice ways to just be like, hey, Bill, I appreciate your suggestions. Can I hear from the players first?
Well, one of the biggest things I was really concerned with was this one girl. I sincerely doubt she's played more than a couple times, if at all. And we're going along, and one of the first things he said was that basically that she had done her character wrong, and I couldn't think of a calm, diplomatic way to tell him to back off. So I kind of held my tongue. I probably should have said something then, but through the rest of the session, I could tell that she was upset at that. And I wanted to get a chance to talk with her before she left because I actually thought she did a really good job. She had some great ideas. She ended up leaving before I had a chance to talk with her. I'm hoping she comes back next week because I would like to encourage her to keep playing. I thought she did a really good job. And in addition to this, she seems to have a bit of a speech impediment, especially when she kind of gets excited and stuff. And I was trying to give her all the time, to talk because I found the best way to do that. You don't want to go and supply the words for those people. Give them the time to say what they're trying to say. And that was another thing. Bill kept trying to cut her off. I guess he was getting impatient or whatever. But I would love to have her back because I thought she did a really good job and stuff. So. So basically this Wednesday, I kind of mentally took notes of a lot of things I need to watch out for and need to start kind of getting ahead of. Because, part of me, I'm at least as far as that location, she may never come back. And I mean, that would be really sad. I hope that, I hope she comes back and I hope she continues playing because I thought she did a good job. And so we'll see what happens next Wednesday. Fingers crossed.
He also needs to be reminded. Sorry, dude. He needs to be reminded that you're the dungeon master.
Oh yeah. That was starting to get to be a sticking point. I just did what I was going to do anyway, but.
I didn't intend to put you on the spot. It was just commenting as an example. I didn't think this was going to become a sticky.
Well, no. I mean, it's something that that's part of our training. We need to learn to deal with difficult players, especially when they're making it rough on the other players. I mean, this was just a drop in at a game store. I mean, had this been like if we'd been at a prison and somebody started acting that way, it would turn ugly. Or even at-risk youth.
If that would have been a Spark Central group.
Oh, that would have been.
And we've had that happen in Spark Central.
We've had people walk away too because of that happening in Spark Central.
Yeah,
I've had people walk away twice because of that.
And regardless of the reason why, I don't want people leaving with a bad. I mean, this is supposed to be fun, right? Mm-hmm. And this is supposed to be a good way to meet new people, make friends, and all this kind of stuff. And if you can tell, I've been kind of obsessing about this since last night. I felt really bad about the way things turned out, and I definitely some ideas on how I need to stop.
We need to watch the last 5 minutes of this. 4 minutes. So, I mean, we're not going to get through more, but
the gist of it doesn't seem that hard.
No touching.
See your character though.
What's your strength bonus?
She doesn't have one. Her highest stat is her intelligence. I put her other bonuses in dexterity and charisma.
Charisma? Whee! No strength bonus. No constitution bonus. How many hit points did she have?
Let's see. 35.
45 hit points. A 9th level fighter with 45 hit points. Oh yeah, she's
not planning on getting hit.
Really gonna protect the party.
I put her other feats in speed and precision. That's why intelligence is more important than strength.
It would be if you were a wizard, but you're not. You're a fighter. Fighter with a giant kill me sign on her back.
With her charisma, she should be able to talk her way out of most fights. What? Negotiating isn't your style?
Not exactly, no. Our philosophy is beat it until it stops moving. And then shoot.
And then step on its nads.
Come on, Gary. If you play this character, you are going to die.
I spent 2 hours on this character, and I'm going to play her, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
And when you die, you can play Bikini Baby.
Why did you two break up again?
Gary!
Now he interferes.
Wild mage. Wild!
He is just like a munchkin chaos monkey.
That's right. I'm playing a chick.
Dude, are you hot?
17 charisma.
Want to have sex?
Totally.
Awesome. I seduce him. Yes! Oh, I could totally seduce any homophobe with that role.
We haven't started. You guys haven't met.
All right. Phone you later.
I'll be waiting.
And meet after we've started. Please. Leo, I assume you're playing a fighter again?
Actually, I'm going as far.
Pause.
Really? That's a...
So, I give a class on veils and lines, the X card, no thank you evil. There are many other forms of keeping a safe space. This is not an example of a safe space.
No.
If she was uncomfortable with this, does she have a way to communicate that she's having a problem with this?
No.
Other than
Leaving.
knock it off or leaving and stuff like that. So this is an important thing to deal with. We have tools to work with. I have a full different class on that. Go ahead, continue.
Bit of a jump for you. You've only played fighters before.
How different can they be? I'm playing monk.
What's he going to do, copy manuscripts?
Think Kung Fu monks, grasshopper.
Oh. That doesn't seem to fit, does it?
No, it doesn't. I told you guys that there are no monks in my world.
I told you that if we're playing by 3rd edition rules, I can play any basic character class. And monk... Basic character.
I based my world on a fantasized Western medieval period. There were no kung fu monks in Western Europe.
If Joe can play any character that she wants, I can play any character that I want. I'm asking you to play a basic character class, and you're blocking me. You're breaking the rules. Again. I play monk or I don't play.
It's a horrible rule. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Go home.
At this point, you'd have, for us, backup character sheets that are appropriate level for that.
Also, okay, so when we start games, we have the pre-gens. There's no argument. Those are the only things that are available. You'll notice that Adventures in Middle-earth does not have a Wu-Gen monk. It just isn't there. So I'm not going to offer that as a possible character. Then we have, when they're getting more advanced, we'll do a session 0 where they can actually make their first Doctor Who character or make their first Adventures in Middle-earth characters. And we will establish the rules there. So it won't be you made a character and you bring it in by any rules. I've had a problem with people doing that at Spark Central. And they will bring a character that they made it out there, and they had apparently been playing with somebody else as their DM, and you have a Wand of Orcus how at 3rd level?
No. You have a Wand of Orcus.
Yeah, good, relevant of level. Yeah, you coming into this game with a major artifact. Or you're playing a character class that has wings. I try to avoid allowing things that can fly at 1st level because it really messes with pitfall traps and bridges and etc.
Water.
And they don't play.
I play.
No, you don't.
Fine. You can play a monk. But he's got to fit the world. He's got to be a Western monk. Bzzzt. Occidental. Think you can handle that?
Of course.
Good. Now, is there anything else?
No.
All right.
They never display the monk as the proper
What?
tonsured
No, you're
head.
not.
Just make him straight
I
bald.
told you guys this is an all-human campaign. There are no elves in my
Well,
world.
I told you that elf is a basic character race, and since we're
I'm not
playing
listening.
by
The adventure's starting.
and I thought
Adventure.
all this
When
fantastic
a monster
creatures
comes
were running
along,
off,
you
I
must
thought,
have it.
oh, give me
Now
a
when you
deal.
face the evil throne, you must have it.
Begin in the throne room.
His Royal Majesty, King Erasmus the randomly biased.
There is a
Good
great
stopping point.
Yep, you'll have to stop here because it is time.
Yes.
There is a lot more tropes. I do want to continue watching this and pointing on the different tropes.
Should we talk about the stereotypical Western European world as the only thing that you're allowed to play in for a moment?
You are only in that particular campaign that he's doing.
Well, I know, but that's like the stereotypical thing that the thing that on the video that or not video, the audio that Hawk was playing that that a lot of people who aren't white males feel uncomfortable playing Dungeons and Dragons because it's white Northern European stuff. A lot of times is what is being ran, and so that's why a lot of times people of color don't feel comfortable playing role-playing games because they don't feel like they're going to be represented.
And that is up to the Dungeon Master, Game Master, Storyteller.
True.
Things that's
And
up
also
to the world.
Players, because I don't think there's. I mean, granted,
Well, it's just the
human
fact
is
that
your
they.
race, but
It's just
yeah.
the fact that they threw it in our face like that. That we're playing a Western European. Whatever, I mean, it's. It was kind of a.
Okay. So that was being thrown in there because that was the story that he wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to do King Arthur court. You're not going to usually have the Saracens. Now, if you're going to have what is that one thing called Robin Hood, then you are going to have the Saracens. Different types.
Well, the reason I brought it is because they throw so many. They're throwing so many stereotypes and tropes at us that the Western European thing.
Right, is the classic idea for Dungeons & Dragons, who, by the way, in first edition, introduced Oriental Adventures.
Yes. Very awesome.
So they did go to non-just Eurocentric.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced Chult, which is an African centra. They did Arabian Nights versions. They did Egypt was one of the earlier settings.
Mm-hmm.
They do hit the different cultures and stuff. The rules are there. So when you make a human character, nothing in the book indicates what color you are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
When you make an elf, the only time they indicate what color you are is if you're drow.
Mm-hmm.
Even the orcs can be. Are you a purple orc or are you a green orc? I prefer green skins. In the rule book that they were using there, I don't know if I'm getting this on camera at all, but their monk. You're not going to be able to see it because I just can't seem to line up.
Want me to? There we go.
The female picture there.
Now we'll get to see if it's actually gray on your screen.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It is.
Oh.
You are gray.
Oh, so the camera was.
And
It's
so,
the camera.
Yeah, it's been an issue for a while.
That's why I've been wondering. I've been looking there.
Can
and
you
being
look?
like,
Can you see this?
Get
Okay.
a little closer.
This is a
Yeah.
female monk, and she is black. She's not even Oriental. The representation was there. It's whether or not you choose to use it. He's writing a particular scenario. That's his prerogative.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Multiculturalism, especially up in 5th edition. The idea of multiculturalism and multi-gender and preference and things like that. I only came across one time that I had a trouble with the gender of a character in a D&D product. In
5th edition.
5th edition, the what is it called? Waterdeep. Dragon Heist.
I have a picture of her. In gray.
So here is the book Waterdeep running through it. I did have a problem with one of its gender references in here. They have two males that are married and working in a blacksmith. I don't have an issue with that. They have a person who is guess gender fluid would be the best term for it. Does not identify as male or female and uses the pronoun they. It's an elf. But there is a character in here who is transgender. They were male and now they're female, or they were female and now male. I don't remember which. It's not relevant, and this is why it's not relevant. There's no way to know. If you're a player character and you meet this transgendered person that was included in the storyline, there is no logical way to find out that that person's transgender. It's not going to come up in conversation. Hi, my name is Sally. I used to be Jim. Nobody introduces themselves that way. So that was the only reason I had a problem with this, because it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a story point. It's not
integrated.
It's not integrated. It's not.
And that's something that would be really easy to make a story point out of.
Sure, if you created a story point of
hatred.
Well, it was. How about the one I came up with first was it's a missing person case, and you can't find Sally because Sally's now Jim. That becomes a relevant story point.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's no reason for it.
Yeah, see, that's just pandering, and that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
If you throw it in just to throw it in, that's dumb.
And maybe if it was somebody who was in transition. So you see this woman with a big Adam's apple and a mustache.
And no chest?
No, she's got the chest because they're in transition.
Yeah. Yeah, beard, full beard.
Double.
Double.
Now we're just talking a tall dwarf. But the point is, unless there is a reason for the characters, the players, to know this information and care about this information, why include it? having people that want to be called they, the characters are going to know that right away because the NPC is going to tell them. Having the two people married, normal interaction will tell you that they're that way. But to have a transgendered person, there's zero reason for anybody to know why that they are transgendered, let alone why or care. I didn't see a purpose for that.
Well, like I say, it's just pandering. They were too lazy to come up with a story point, which would have been a lot better.
Right. So we are more than done. We're a couple minutes past. Again, my name is John Welker. This has been an RPG research class on the history of Dungeons and Dragons. It's more of a practice class. I will be doing more of these to get better at it and to enunciate my words appropriately.
Maybe slow down a little bit so we can get all the notes.
Nah.
No use in that. You can see through the world again.
Notes?
I have a lot of green things all of a sudden.
This class will be open online eventually. There's a paid for class that I will be teaching.
And I may be co-teaching.
Yep. So these things are coming up, but you will be able to take quizzes online and things like that to work up your way through the RPG ranks. GM level 1, etc. Advocates and all that good stuff. So again, I am John Welker. Good night and dream well.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Yay!
Stop recording, stop. I can't see the button. You're on the wrong screen.
I'm right there. Right there. I'm making a mess right there. See? Where is the mouse?
It's on this screen.
Yeah, you're over here.
You're over here.
I should be going all the way to the right by now.
Try to go to the left.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yeah,
Stop streaming.
Stop recording.